So once again, E3 has come and passed, and we all come to the question that we ask each of ourselves. Who won? Obviously, you already know my feelings concerning the title of this video, unless you just randomly clicked it by accident on somebody else's video, in which case, well, hello, and welcome to my channel. But let's look at the facts of why they won E3.
Things started off very interesting. I mean, seriously, we have Reggie Fils-Aimé. Thank you, Reggie.
Welcome to E3
Going up all robot chicken-like. I mean, seriously, this caught me very much by surprise. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Would you have expected in a million years that Robot Chicken would be teaming up with Nintendo? Not to mention the little jokes they had about Mother 3 and all the like. And I'll bring up a fact about Mario getting bumped later on, since it didn't really hold true, all things considered. And not to mention the stuff I'll get into about Link, which was then followed up by the obligatory Mother 3 joke that everybody wished they could tell Reggie about and ask Miyamoto about because it's been frickin' years. And then it just continued and continued and just... wow, I did not see this coming whatsoever. And then... this happened. The two heads of Nintendo just suddenly started duking it out right on stage. Again, a total surprise that I never expected. And it just went on. It was like watching a thick frickin' episode of Dragon Ball Z. And it just kept going and going and going. I couldn't be amazed until... everybody got what they wanted. Super Smash Brothers. Seriously. Everybody was expecting to have news about this game. We expected tons of news. We expected gameplay. We expected character rosters. We expected special moves and final smashes. And the first thing we get is the two heads of Nintendo duking it out in Super Smash Bros. On stage. And then this happened. Really, Nintendo, are you that desperate for money? This was the only part of the event that really kind of pissed me off. They're now ripping off both Skylanders and Disney Infinity. Are they really that desperate for money? I mean, I know the Wii U isn't selling very good, and they're at least making it up with the 3DS, but you have to include these dolls for little kids to collect and buy for the game? Not to mention the aspect of how it might make the game imbalanced. They didn't focus on that for too long, and thank God for that. And that's when they introduced one of the most interesting aspects of the game that really is a big surprise, and we all expected with Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and then we finally got the Mii characters. How many people have always wanted to get Miis into Super Smash Bros.? I know I did, and now they're called Mii Fighters. Again, another great idea that really brings fresh life into the Super Smash Bros. Franchise. They then explain that they are divided into three different groups: Brawler, Swordsman, and Gunner. Which is rarely a good idea. I immediately thought that it would be just a fighter. But the fact that they make it a little bit more of a choice puts a little bit more of a personal touch into the game. If you like swords like I do, and I'll probably be playing as a swordsman throughout the game, then you're going to be playing as a swordsman. If you like powerful blows while keeping your distance, you'll be a gunner. But if you just like up close and personal fights, you can be a brawler. So this brings that special aspect to the game, that more personal touch that we've all wanted to do. We can literally become part of Super Smash Bros. By playing as ourselves. Brawler, Sword Fighter, Gunner. Each one of them is your own choice. If you want to play as a brawler, up close and personal, like I said before. If you want to play as a gunner, you can blast them away. As a sword fighter, you can slash up your enemies as though they were like butter. Which does bring up the question of how much balance there's going to be in the game with these characters, and I've heard you won't be able to use them with online multiplayer, which kind of makes sense since they are very custom heavy. So you can make like a Pearson, like for instance, off the top of my head I can think of Lincoln. 7 years ago, I kicked your ass in Super Smash Brothers. And of course, it's gonna be all the craziness that you can imagine from Super Smash Bros. You can play as celebrities, but you can only do that in your own home. But I can understand why they're doing this, considering the type of people you can dress up like. Like, I can probably see somebody in the future going in as like Marilyn Manson or Charles Manson or any like Hitler. Seriously, some of the things I've seen people do in these things is crazy. I mean, look what happened with the PlayStation 4 with the live stream system for people using the camera. You hear about people having sex. Imagine what kind of characters they'll make that they'll play online as. Oh my god, it's crazy. Of course, then he went over what the new system with the toys is gonna be like. And honestly, I have no interest whatsoever. It just seems like a ploy to get kids to play the game. And of course, they may have a stupid name like Amiibo. Why couldn't you have Amigo? That seems to make more sense to me. I don't know, I'm not marketing. Maybe it's a trademark issue or a copyright issue. Like maybe somebody else out there already has Amigo as a name for a toy or something. It's beyond me. And it did have one interesting aspect. I did not know that little square like bar on the controller had the capability of scanning something like that. Which begs the question of what else it can do. Could this mean that they have the capabilities of scanning the AR cards that come with the 3DS? I don't know, but this does raise a good question about what it is truly capable of outside of using the gamepad. And there needs to be more clarification on that. If you showed off more on the gamepad, people will become more and more interested on the Wii U, which is something Nintendo desperately needs right now. But it was a great start to a great conference. It really took me out of it with the Amiibos, but it kept getting better as the conference went on. Which brings us to our next big reveal. Yoshi's Woolly World. I wasn't too interested in this one, but from what I hear, it's pretty much a successor to Kirby's Epic Yarn, which was a very good game from what I've played. It also had a very big artistic spin to the game, which makes it more interesting, and something I wish more developers would be interested in more of an artistic, and not something like Call of Duty, which just sheds out grays and browns all the time. But as for my interest in this game, if I do get Wii U later down the line, it does look like an interesting and very artistic game, and I hope to see more from these guys in the future.
I want to make it a game that brings a smile to your face.
Okay, maybe less in the future would be better, considering that creepy smile.
Here you go!
And now Toad has his own game. I have no words. From what I've heard, this is a spin-off title from Super Mario 3D World, which was funny in its own right. And from what I've heard from a lot of my friends, it was very entertaining. So I guess it makes sense for them to make a spin-off title. I see it more as a downloadable game on the Wii U later down the line. If they do charge full price, I will be very surprised. Although it might come in as an add-on for the next Mario game is my guess. It's still interesting that they would follow up on such an interesting little mini-game, so to speak. I mean, the only thing that Toad ever appeared to me was that little bitch who just told you that the princess was in another castle. Oh, I'm sorry, Mario. The princess is in another castle. You have to keep going. Yeah. But hopefully he might redeem himself in this title. Oh yes, you all knew this was coming. The Legend of Zelda on the Wii U. We have been waiting on bated breath about anything to do with this next title. And what did they show? Probably the most beautiful Legend of Zelda I have ever seen.
This is the new world of Zelda.
Just beautiful. And from what I hear, just like what it was with A Link Between Worlds, you'll be able to explore any part of the map, any part of Hyrule, without having to first get an item. Which kind of makes me sad in a way, but it makes it more like Legend of Zelda meets Skyrim. And then we had a little bit of a cutscene that really made a lot of people question whether this was Link or not. Now, I wasn't one of the people who was fooled by this. Of course it's Link. Just because he looks feminine, he's always looked feminine. That's the point. And of course he didn't have his usual garb and tunic, but I think that's more interesting. And the sci-fi weapon he showed off, oh my god.
Shut up and take my money!
Next thing is Pokemon. Yeah. Honestly, I've kind of been out of the Pokemon games ever since White came out. But it's nice that they're going back to remake Ruby and Sapphire. Arguably the most revolutionary of the games, but I'll probably give it a pass until I get 3DS. Bayonetta 2. This game has caused quite a bit of controversy as being one of the first games to come out on 2 different systems, and then having a sequel come out on a completely different system. Now, I don't mind this so much because it looks like a very, very kick-ass game, and one some of my friends have highly recommended that I play because it's like Devil May Cry, only better. From what I've seen in the trailers, if I had a Wii U, this would be a must-buy. Seriously, look at this. She's going against demons in hell. You don't get more Dante's Inferno. You don't get more Dante than that.
You can go another way, can't you?
Wait, what were we talking about again? We were talking about Bayonetta. I thought we were talking about... Now they're showing Link and Metroid and Princess Peach? What? But it is very smart on Nintendo's part that they're bundling the games together for those who have never played it on the Wii, though it hasn't totally appeased most of the fans.
We like a number of times, and it became the action.
Do I
style
even
that it
really
is
need to
now.
talk about this game? It's just Dynasty Warriors with the Legend of Zelda skin. There's really not much to say other than that. I mean, it's very cool that they're bringing in Impa and Midna and Zelda, and the fact that she's no longer a princess, but in fact a queen, which is always begs the question to me of why they're called princesses if there's nobody in power at the moment. I mean, seriously, have we even seen Princess Peach's father? I think the last time I heard of him was in like Super Mario World 2. But it's still an interesting idea, and for all you Legend of Zelda fans, this will probably be something you'll buy in a heartbeat. Though for me, maybe if it goes down price later down the line, I'll buy it as just a quick fun game to just go around and take down massive swarms of enemies. Though that does not make it a bad game at all, and one I think most people will be getting, regardless of what I say.
It'll make me
Since it's
really
the Legend of Zelda, there are Link and Princess Zelda. Impa, who appears through the series, is playable as well.
Another surprise, a sequel to Kirby Canvas Curse, a really good game. I'm not probably going to be getting it, but it does have an interesting art style with the claymation, but one I will skip nonetheless since I never really was a big fan of the stylus. But if you like this cult hit, good for you, here is your redemption. And now the game that fooled everybody into thinking it's Metroid. Metroid, come on, new Metroid, show us a new Metroid, show us Samus, please, we've been waiting years for a new one, other M's sucked. Ah, god damn it. But in all seriousness, Xenoblade Chronicles X looks very interesting to me, another good Japanese game with RPG style. And the fact they have Gundam-like devices that can change into tanks while battling huge-ass monsters? Seriously, what isn't there anything about this to love? I've never really followed along with the Xenogears or Xenoblade Saga, so this will be a fresh start for me if I do get the Wii U. But for right now, it's really got my appetite wet for it. But then there was this thing, and what the hell is this thing? Mario Maker. Now this is something I thought that would have happened years ago, back when even the Game Boy Color came out. Which begs the question, what took them so long? There's been people who have made ROM hacks of this to just make their own Mario levels. It's good that they're finally making it, but I'm just begging the question, what took them so long? Was it just that people had more of a demand now than they did back then? But anyway, this is a good game for people who want to start up with game design or game level creators. And as far as it goes for me, I'm very much interested. But not as interested as what came next.
The fuck?
teams battle to claim their turf by splattering the map with ink, and the team with the most territory, when time runs out, wins.
Splatoon.
Nogami-san, let's make them
This
switch.
game caught me
Rather than designing the
completely by
characters and then making a
surprise.
game around that, we instead came up with the game first.
I don't even have any words for it.
Say you can
A
only
shooter
shoot
game
ink as a
that
person.
actually looks
Thought about the different
interesting,
ways
that
to
has
expand the
color,
game.
that has
And the
interesting
squid idea
ideas.
meshed perfectly.
You can
Swim
change into
really
a
fast in
squid.
your
You
own
can
ink
go
as a
along
squid,
your
or
ink
what
and
if
try
your
and
feet
cover
get
as much of the
stuck,
map
which
with
brought
your
us to
ink
where
as
we're at now,
possible.
with players
I mean,
able to
yes,
do
there's
things
still the
like ink
current
and swim up
tropes with
walls
shooters of trying
and
to eliminate
swim
enemy
super
players,
fast
but
through
that is
your
not
ink.
the focus of the game. The game is to try and cover the map with most of your team's
Once
ink
you've
as
done
you
that,
can.
You've got more turf to
Which is a
beat the
very
squid and
interesting
make use of your
concept, which
capabilities.
brings together the idea of cooperative gameplay. It's kind of like Team Fortress 2 mixed with paintball, which very much intrigues me. Though, am I the only one who gets a Super Mario Sunshine vibe from this game? I don't know, a lot of the maps do kind of remind me of some of the levels from Super Mario Sunshine. Though maybe it's more of an homage or something, I don't know. Ink Mario's probably getting ready to sue, or I should say Bowser Jr. since that's who it was. Spoiler alert! Still, the very concept is interesting. You spray ink around the map. You can't go into an enemy's ink without slowing down, but you can speed up in your ink by turning into a squid, as well as gaining ink into your shooter and spreading it out, therefore causing more and more damage, as well as being able to see enemies out of the corner of your eye do their ink.
But on the other hand,
I know, I'm saying ink way too much, but it's just a fun word to say with this game. I can't say too much more about it. It's just a very interesting concept and one that has made me want to get the Wii U more than ever.
Territory as fast as they can. There are a lot of different.
This fighter from Hyrule is quite impressive indeed. For a mere mortal.
Anime is life. This is something that really, there's no words to describe it. Nintendo has embraced anime, which makes sense since they're from Japan. And just this short sequence itself has brought fans from all over the world to question Nintendo and ask, come on Nintendo, give us an anime on this shit. Seriously, you would make money. I would watch this in a heartbeat if it meant just being able to see this animation more. I mean, God. But now we have Pac-Man, we have Mario, we have Sonic, the big three we never thought would come together in one game, together to brawl. Seriously, if you were to pitch this idea to a child in the 80s who grew up on Sega and Nintendo, his head would explode from sheer awesomeness at the idea. Though I am very interested in seeing how Palutena works as a brawler. She's very easy on the eyes, I can give her that, but her moveset seems somewhat imbalanced. Again, a word I've used a lot throughout this entire video, but one that really matters when it comes to Super Smash Bros., having no one character that is rule-breaking above all others. But it was a very good year for Nintendo as far as E3 goes. You had the new Legend of Zelda being shown off, you had Splatoon, you had Super Smashing Brothers. Something that should be obvious to everyone, but for some reason Nintendo seemed to drop the ball in previous years. This year was so good, it actually has me considering getting a Wii U. Though the only things that are keeping me away from it, besides monetary, is their treatment of YouTubers. YouTubers make up a huge part of the internet, and is something that is essential for Nintendo's future. Don't treat them as the enemy. Treat them as your future. Treat them as allies that can really show off your game to people who have never even thought about getting a Nintendo console or Nintendo game. Let's Plays, reviews, and any type of other YouTube video on games are the future. Embrace us, Nintendo. We are the future, and we are your future, in fact. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in with me, and happy 1-year anniversary of my channel.